we're losing brain cells, Lana, and that's where now we go into 2024, and you and I had talked, and there were a lot of times where I was not concerned, and that Biden's still going to win this thing easily. I still believe that he's going to win. But there are concerns. There are concerns with polling. There are concerns with messaging. There are concerns with, just the people who are spouting anything that they want to without any repercussions or without any fact checking. Or even if you do fact check, it gets to a point where it's kind of like you shrug your shoulders and go, doesn't matter. Eternally and emotionally, that feels better for me. So I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for 2024?
For real?
Yeah, real.
I mean, I think that we are going to pull it together. I think that, the Gen Zers, they're going to pull it together. The people of color. I think, I don't think as many Republican women are going to vote. Maybe they will vote for Trump as president, but the local elections, they may not vote for those local politicians because this abortion issue is going to grow, and the list of women is going to get larger. I mean, we saw what Texas did today, the Fifth Circuit. Was it today or yesterday? I can't remember. What the Fifth Circuit was like, no, there is no emergency abortion. Can you imagine that you're in the emergency room and the doctor cannot perform if your life is in danger? An emergency abortion. Government overreach. Biden overreached when he said, remember, hospitals, you're supposed to provide emergency care, but that's overreach.
It's, I just don't understand it. Any human that seems to be alive and well, they just don't seem to care about, but somehow they care about these babies. They care about, they want them born. But then after that, they just don't. It's like, fuck it. All right, now you're born, and so you're on your own.
Fuck it. Baby's gonna die after it takes it. I keep reading about, and it's interesting because women are dropping stories in my DMs now, so it's really interesting because I do just about every day I'm putting someone's story up there. But women are giving birth to babies that are non-viable outside of the uterus. So they're watching them gasp for air, and then die.
Yeah.
Live and die in all of a few fucking minutes. How torturous is that?
Yeah.
I just tweeted about a woman I just read about in Texas, because Texas is where this is happening right now about the no emergency abortions. She was pregnant with twins. They did an ultrasound. The twins were not only were they conjoined, but their spines were wrapped around each other, and the organs were all outside of the body. Organs here, organs there, weren't even fully developed organs, but heartbeat.
Well, that means everything, obviously.
That means everything. That means you have to carry it to term. That's asinine. These twins are not going to live.
I mean, isn't that, wouldn't you, if you're a religious person, isn't that God's way of saying that these children should not be on earth? Is that a way to look at it if you're a religious person?
Right. So now this woman and her family, she's every doctor's visit, because she's got to continue to go to these doctor's visits wanting some type of hope. Maybe this visit they'll see something different. Maybe it was a mistake. Every visit from, when she found out at 4 months to the end, right? And I guess the doctor, when he was non-viable, the doctor walked out of the room because there's nothing else he can say to her because he's at risk. So the nurse comes back with a Post-it note with just the name of an abortion clinic in New Mexico. This woman already had 2 kids. Her husband works long shifts, can barely get the time off to go to the doctor with her. So they just could not go. So she had to carry this fetuses to term, knowing that this was going on. Gave birth via C-section. Like, it's a whole, the article is so in depth because it's just like her every thought while she's lying on the table, fighting to stay awake because they were putting her to sleep. But she's fighting to stay awake because she wanted a glimpse of the twins before they died, or maybe they won't die, or maybe they'll live past a few minutes. Maybe I'll get 10 minutes. Like, so she didn't want any of the time wasted under anesthesia. And like, she just, she went out, and then she was knocked out from the anesthesia. And when they delivered the baby's C-section, the father was there, put the babies in his arm. Again, they're mangled and intertwined. He looks down and he just starts crying. And then he thought they died because they stopped breathing, but there was intermittent heartbeat. So they were still kind of alive. Like, then she wakes up, and then now they had to wrap the babies because underneath is just, it shows all of that. It's just a horrible story. And it's not that she's not just the one. Then it told the story of her having to name, then get a funeral, plan a funeral, her other children going to the funeral for these twins. She had to bury these fucking babies. They took a couple of breaths and they were dead.
It's a testament to what you're saying, where she's fighting to stay awake because she wants to see these babies regardless of the outcome of what's going to happen. So that is a testament to something that I will never experience, is that the bond between the mother and those children basically says she's not doing this because she wants to do it. She's doing it because she has to do it.
Wow.
And what anybody would come out and go, nah. They got a heartbeat, so we're going to keep going, and then you're going to pay for these medical bills afterward, and you're going to
bills. And her and her husband and her family will never forget that day. That will be etched. She will probably be afraid to have any more children after that traumatic experience. Who wants to try? She wanted this. They wanted another baby. Like, they wanted this.
Yeah.
Why would you ever try? Like, that's scary.
Well, you have that story. You have the other woman in Texas that happened to. This isn't just a one-off. This is something that will happen over and over and over again. And these stories are going to continue to come out. And my guess is that when this election does come around, people are going to have to face some serious truths, and they're really going to have to look in the mirror and go, all right, I don't like Joe Biden. For what reason? I still don't have any fucking idea. I don't know why you don't like Joe Biden, but whatever. It is what it is. Maybe you don't like the way he's handling Israel, Palestine, even though you probably never said the words Israel or Palestine prior to this happening. But the alternative is not just somebody who's not going to do anything for the country, somebody who's probably going to fuck this country up for a very long time. Unless, of course, somehow the Democrats can win the House, they can win the Senate, and just get through this horrific 4 years. So he can't change anything. He can't do anything to stay in office. He can't do anything to pass laws.
That's our only saving grace. But God willing, we get the House and the Senate and the president.
At the very least, the House.
Right. So we just need. Oh, go ahead.
You're right. I mean, that's what it is. So I look, and I've also saw, they talk about this polling a lot. We've talked about polling on the show. How much do we trust it? How much do we not trust it? I do see, by the way, there are polls out there that have Joe Biden leading, but you wouldn't know that because even Washington Post doesn't cover it. The New York Times doesn't cover it unless it's their own poll. And they probably would take a poll and Joe Biden's winning. They'd be like, let's not cover that one. Let's wait till Trump's leading so we can cover that. Because that to get a lot more hits on our website.
Correct.
But there are polls indicating that if Trump is indicted and is found guilty, that you will have a lot of people come out and say, God damn, I didn't really understand or realize how serious this was. Now I do. So now I'm not voting for this guy, which again, just the fact that he's in 91 indictments,
Right, right.
I don't know of anybody in the history of mankind that has been indicted on 91 felony counts and was not guilty of at least one of them.
Exactly, exactly. Like it's not that much two-tier justice system in the world, not 91 counts. Like
Yeah.
who's got that kind of time to even like, set you up for 91 counts? Like, what is this? How is that happening?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's talk about the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is Donald Trump wins, the Republicans win the House, and the Republicans win the Senate. That is obviously
Then
our
we
worst.
all die.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, what does this country look like? Where are we heading? And will we have? And again, a lot of the things that have been said about Donald Trump for years was considered, as hyperbolic, but some of it, and maybe even a lot of it, has come true. So I don't think anything and any suggestion that we may make about Donald Trump and what America would look like is hyperbolic at this point. So,
Right.
if they win the House, if they win the Senate, does he find a way to change the laws to stay president forever?
That would be his goal. That is his goal. He said day one he wants to be a dick and a dictator.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He said it was only for the first day, but I mean, come on. Sean Hannity was trying to bail him out. He still didn't even take the bait. He still went on and with the dictator thing. And you know what? I mean, fucking, how many more clips do we have to see of him praising dictators, of him praising the way Kim Jong-un has his people in line, as he calls it? Like, how do you look at that and then just think that you're going to be okay later? By the way, I'm not really sure where these people are voting for him think that this is going to benefit them, because a lot of these Trump voters do and are going to rely on their Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. And if they get their way, that'll be gone. And I don't know at that point, who do they blame it on?
Right. They're not thinking long term. They're thinking the short term, like, oh, Trump is funny. He's hilarious. He sticks it to the libs. Like they live for that. And meanwhile, as we say, Republicans are picking their pocket. And yeah, we probably should talk about a Trump presidency with Republicans having the House and the Senate. Like that's so bad that there would be no voting, right? Like it's like
I
people
mean,
tell her
they
forget
would
your vote.
definitely change the voting laws to
The
make
Voting Rights Act will be
possible.
gutted. Like if
It's
they got
gone.
rid they got rid of affirmative action, they're gonna say, you don't need a Voting Rights Act. No one's stopping you from voting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're stopping you from voting. Like that's just the point. He's already said that he was going to only have loyalists and people who are loyal to the Republican Party or loyal to him. So that means that anyone in government who they believe is not loyal to them
Yep.
are going to get fired from their job. Like, have y'all really thought about this?
I'm telling you, they haven't, and I'm hoping as time goes on that it's going to start creeping into their heads a bit on, what exactly this is going to mean. We talk about guns and stuff like that, and everybody acts like only Republicans own guns. We have Democrats that own guns, but it's the opposite thing when it comes to MAGA and Republicans. Do you know a lot of MAGA Republicans are benefiting from Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
Going to be gone,
Yes.
and they are going to now have medical bills out their ass, and they just don't understand.
Nope.
They don't understand. They have no idea this insulin is benefiting them. The fact that Joe Biden is going to get pharmaceutical companies to negotiate their prices now is going to benefit them, but that will be gone. They don't get it. And the reason why they want to vote for Trump is because like you just said, they think he's hilarious. My dad was telling me the other day, he was talking to somebody and she was indicating the reason why she likes Donald Trump is because she just likes how he talks.
Yeah, he sticks it to the libs. He's not politically correct, but it's like he wants to take your Social Security. Like, how is that's funny? Ha ha he. Like, what are you, crazy? It's just,
I've said a million times, that's how you pick your favorite professional wrestler, the way they talk, not your fucking president.
right. Do you, I mean, it's just, I just, it makes me shake my head because I can't, it's just the thought of it. Like, we'll be alone. Our allies will not be our allies. He's going to pull us out of NATO. We will be attacked, or he'll be blackmailing or trying to, pay people not to attack us, right? Like
Or
Hitler
be
was doing.
blackmailed. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly. Because we won't have any allies. That means we're going to be open for ISIS or whoever else wants to attack us. So he's going to have to give them money to keep them all at bay so they won't, the weapons and shit. Like, that's
yeah,
what's going to happen.
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, this is our worst case scenario,
Mm.
and the sad reality is it's possible. So, I figure maybe we'll get the worst possible outcome out of the way. Then, of course, we have the Republicans win the House still, Democrats win the Senate, Donald Trump wins. So we can mix that all together, whether it's
Yeah,
House, Senate. That would help a little bit if one or the other wins, because then there's no laws passed. He's going to
right,
basically be sort of a lame duck president because he
right.
won't be able to do anything other
Yeah,
than
but
run
we
his
don't
mouth.
want that because then he doesn't go to jail. Then he doesn't face anything. Then he continues to, like, we can't have that, everyone, even if, like, it sounds good and he's a lame duck, because there's still damage that he can do.
Yes. Yes. Well, that is, we'll get to that
And
scenario.
pardoning all kinds of insurrectionists. You get a pardon. You get a pardon. It just,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but that leads to another scenario, is one that you just brought up, a realistic scenario too, is this motherfucker going to jail. So I'm still unclear as to how many trials we'll see before the
probably one.
before the election. Is that what I mean,
I
I've
think
heard
it's just
maybe
the
one to
one.
two, but it's definitely not going to be
What
all.
would be the second one?
So what I'm thinking, one of the ones I think are going to happen after, obviously, is that
Florida.
classified documents case, which
Right.
sucks because that's a slam dunk.
That's the one. Exactly.
That's a slam fucking dunk. There's no that he wants to get past that one so bad because there is no fucking way,
Right.
zero chance on this. It is the dumbest jury of all
Right.
time. There
Right.
is no way of getting away with that one. If
Yeah.
you read the indictment, I would just suggest to anybody who has not read the indictment, about 40 some pages long. It's an easy read. It might take you a half hour or so. Read it, because you would read it and go, this guy's fucked. He's
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't care what anyone says. I don't care about what these analysts are saying on MSNBC, CNN. I think that judge was put there. You cannot tell me just by the luck of the draw, we got what's her face. Like,
I think the only reason why I would say, because, well, it is the state of Florida.
yeah,
Yeah.
stop playing
Yeah.
right now. Stop playing. They're like, oh no, they put them in whatever the names in this and they whatever in the clerk. Stop playing right now. Do we really think that these government officials, these law people, don't have people in high places that maneuver and manipulate? Are we really to think that that cannot happen in Florida?
If I was more in tune with the process, I think I'd be able to make a more informed. But you're right. It is unbelievable that it just so happened to be Eileen Cannon is the one who is going to be presiding over this case. I'm not really sure of the process on how you pick that judge. I don't know if there are other people in the room that represent all sides. I have no idea. But if it's the case where it just happens to be somebody who's, I don't know, pulling something out, I don't know how they do it, because like you said, it was just a random choice.
Yeah.
And who actually saw it and who actually was responsible, who knows? I don't know, and maybe I'll look into that a little bit more too.
Yeah, I don't believe it. But anyway.
But the other case, I think the Stormy Daniels case could
Oh,
happen.
right.
That's not everybody's favorite. That's not
Yeah.
what everybody. Don't get me wrong. Anytime this guy's under indictment and under federal investigation, it's fun. But the other one, I guess, is the insurrection one that we have a chance of happening before.
Yeah, because the trial is set for before.
Oh,
Trial is
what
set.
about Georgia?
No, that trial isn't that later? Because I think
It was May,
finally,
wasn't it? Georgia was
I
May.
thought she requested something. Was that me? I don't remember. Because what was DC March? Is that the March
Yeah,
trial?
that's the March one. That's, I believe, the insurrection one, and then I believe Georgia was May.
Did she get May? I can't remember because I thought she was.
Now,
Is that Trump or the other people? Because remember they're being tried wait, are there trials
are you?
before Trump?
Can you look it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, look it up, and we'll discuss a little bit more. See if you can look up, because I thought the Trump one was May, and I thought maybe they'd try to get two of them in before those two. But it looks like the insurrection one should happen, but that's going to be delayed. From my understanding, is there's no way it happens in March, but it will. Once they figure out everything, that it still should happen and end before the end of the election.
Um, Georgia, okay, prosecutors in Georgia have proposed a start date of August 5th, 2024
Okay.
for the remaining defendants. So may be someone else because remember the trials got broken up. I can't remember the people's name, but
Yeah.
someone else having a trial before
That was
Trump.
wasn't that Sidney Powell and
Yeah, something right. And she
yeah.
proposed Trump trial August 5th, 2024. And I don't even think they got the date yet. She proposed it.
Okay. All right. Well, obviously you got to get it. But,
That won't be and that's so late. That's right before November. There's no way that would be heard before November.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's kind of a shame. But we got to get at least one of these trials in, and that goes back to what I believe you said on the show before a long time ago. Was Merrick Garland kind of pussyfooting around
He did.
and maybe not putting his foot on the gas a little quicker than he should have. But I do feel confident we should at least see one of these trials, and how he is not indicted in at least some counts.
I think Chutkan, although it's on hold right now, I think the appeals court, I think next week is going to listen to the immunity thing next week because they're fast tracking that. So that's
right. Didn't the Supreme Court have it, but then just said they're not going to?
They kicked it back to the appeal court and said, let the appeal court go first. Because remember, Jack Smith was like, you guys just listen to it now because we already know that this is where it's headed. But they're like, no, let it go its course. And everyone thinks like, of course, the appeals court is going to say, of course, you're not immune. And they believe that the Supreme Court is going to be like, we're just going to leave it there and go with that and not hear it. Because the Supreme Court doesn't have to hear it. Why do they? They don't want to. Yeah, they don't need to hear it. He's not fucking immune. If that's the case, fucking Biden doesn't have to leave. Like if presidents are immune, why he should just never fucking leave? What are y'all gonna do to him? It's not a crime.
I have news for you. I mean, I know it's something that would never happen, but if I'm president, I'm like, listen, if this guy's gonna be able to do whatever the fuck he wants and he's able to get, then you know what? I'm staying president forever, and you can't.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they can't do it. We know Biden wouldn't do it. But he fucking could do anything. Yeah. Pass some fucking laws that are was a crime. I didn't know. I'm immune.
Yeah.
What are y'all talking about?
Just insanity. This country's gone fucking crazy. And the fact that we're even giving a shred of credibility.
And have to talk about that. The news has to talk about that.
Yes.
Fucking stupid. Is Trump immune or not? Because he was our president's immune. Even immune inside the White House, and then years after leaving the White House,
right?
Still immune.
Yep. It's like I said, we're living in crazy times where we're ignoring one thing that is incredibly batshit crazy, and we're both sizing things like, we got to be fair here. And again, that drives me in fucking insane because we're not in a time anymore where we're being fair, we're being honest is what we're being. And it's okay to be honest. Honesty is fair. So if you come out and say, this guy's a fucking nut, this guy, you might not like him, but he's not a nut, and he's not going to be an authoritarian figure, that's okay that the news says that. I think that's fine. Instead of me going to the Washington Post going, let's compare Donald Trump's economy versus Joe Biden's economy. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Donald Trump's economy. Donald Trump's economy was good because he did nothing other than the other thing too is you saw the debt reached 34 trillion, and a good amount of that debt came from his tax cuts that he made when he was president. And so that's
to the rich. Tax cuts to the rich.
To the rich. That's
not
correct.
To normal people.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, because that's very important. It's tax breaks for the ultra rich,
ultra rich.
And the reason why we have a deficit now is because they're not paying their fair share of taxes, so that of course increases the deficit. That's how that works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just drives me crazy that they don't say this kind of stuff, and I think it's irresponsible.
What do you think, real quick? I know we have to keep moving, but the NRA and LaPierre.
I heard something recently. Remind me.
So
isn't he in trouble? He's in trouble.
Yeah, right, for using the what are those contributions or whatever?
Yeah, but has he been doing that for years?
Yeah, and I thought they were in trouble before, which is interesting because I'm like, why are they in trouble right now?
Yeah.
But I thought I heard them in trouble before. Like, I thought that something was taken away from them.
That they were close to being bankrupt.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But maybe it wasn't Wayne LaPierre specific. Maybe it was something to do with the organization.
Right, maybe.
But this is him specifically, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. With the DOJ investigating him, right, for taking his contributions or whatever, those fees that people pay to NRA and having luxury trips. And he's trying to say like the luxury trips and the things that he was doing was all like related to, I don't know, client or business or something.
Clarence Thomas, maybe.
Right, exactly, of course.
That's not that shit crazy thing. That we're just ignoring that. We're just completely ignoring that. And we're also ignoring the fact that I haven't heard Clarence Thomas take himself out of this potential ruling with, well, I guess we'd have to wait to see if there's any kind of ruling with the Supreme Court. But if he does not take himself off that case, especially with his wife being involved, then again, what do we do? This country, I keep hearing about, why don't we let the voters decide? And I'm like, yeah, that's nice and dandy and all, but then what's the fucking point of the Constitution? What are the point of laws? I don't understand why we have them if we're not going to abide by them, or we're not going to make people held accountable.
But they don't even let the voters decide because they doggone gerrymander and red line in fucking districts. So the voters aren't really deciding.
Correct. But plus you're also, because of probably one of the worst decisions in the history of America, and the Supreme Court is the Citizens United. We're allowing multi-millions of dollars. So basically you're buying so much ad space for the candidate that you want to run that's all you see. So now that's all you associate with. Yeah, how many times do you think voters go in and they just see the president's names, then they see all the other names, have no fucking idea who they're voting for, but they say, oh, this is the guy I see on TV.
Yeah.
He shot a fucking beer can on TV, and I thought that was cool, so I'm going to just vote for him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, best case scenario, 2024, other than Donald Trump going to jail. Well, even if he goes to jail, he could still win the presidency. And, other than the Georgia case, which appears as if not going to happen, the Georgia case is the one case where if he does go to jail, he cannot, immune himself.
Exactly.
So him going to jail would be awesome. And Biden winning would be even better. Now, if he doesn't go to jail before Biden wins, what does Trump do? Does he flee the country?
Yeah, he's fucked on election night. If Biden wins, he is just done.
Yeah.
He's done.
He's done, other than him sneaking out of the country in the middle of the
Right.
night. I mean,
Yeah,
and
he's
that's a
absolutely
strong
done.
possibility.
Yeah, he's absolutely done. This is it. It's the last hurrah.
I mean, if we just kind of package everything we just been talking about, if you and I started a podcast, let's say podcast never exists, but we figured out how to do the very first one 15 years ago, and we were saying shit like this, how quickly we might even be arrested for talking
Right.
something as incredibly fucking stupid as what we're talking about now. But this is a real possibility in the next 10, 11 months coming up is going to be so fucking nuts that
Yeah.
you almost, this is going to be like watching a scary movie for basically everybody, because you have people on the other side who think if Joe Biden wins, their whole world is over, that it's done.
Yeah.
America's shut down, which is stupid.
They can't tell us why. They
No,
just
they
said
can't.
they
Well, that's the
just
thing.
yell at and say, "This is gonna be awful."
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Joe Biden's going to have us all, I don't even know what the fuck
Right,
to say.
exactly. What comes next?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so crazy. But hopefully Joe Biden can win. I am starting to, and we've talked about it on this show, and I had zero worries about it, but I am starting to worry about any kind of third party candidate a little bit, because obviously that is going to favor Donald Trump. I guess unless it was Robert Kennedy Jr., because the
Right.
understanding was that it could benefit Biden a little bit more, because Trump voters would consider voting for
I don't even
Robert
hear
Kennedy.
about the third party candidates, to be honest with you. Like, I don't. It seems like their presence is very small.
So far.
Yeah.
I guess this no labels shit is still trying to press something through.
Yes,
Um,
it may be a little late for that. And who the hell likes Joe Manchin on either
Right.
side? Like, on either side, who likes Joe Manchin?
Yeah, he seems to rub people the wrong way on both sides.
Yeah, right. He wasn't a Republican, so MAGAs will be like, "Fuck that dude."
Yeah.
Democrats are like, "Fuck that dude." Like,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and that is weird. And I'm not sure the strategy of running a Joe Manchin, because you're right. Other than, I mean, somehow you got the reddest state in the United States to vote for a Democratic
yeah,
Senate.
yeah. He's a
So
coal guy, maybe that's why.
I guess I don't know, but
Some coal mines.
but it is something to keep an eye on. And I don't know. I guess we'll see later on down the line. But I think our best case scenario is, what do we run on? We run on, first of all, obviously the main one's going to be the abortion. Then of course you have a record that you can run on that is so fucking strong that you shouldn't be ashamed of it. You should be out there spouting it all over the place. And you also should be running on the fact that if you allow Donald Trump to become your president, this could be the last election that you could ever, vote in. And that is, again, it sounds hyperbolic, but with this guy and people's evil Steve Bannon and that Miller cat or whatever, that is a strong possibility. Explain to me how it's not.
Yeah, of course it is. He wanted to seize ballot machines.
Right. I mean, they convinced half the country that their vote doesn't count anyway, because it's just going to get changed by the fucking Democrat, which is so, again, it's so stupid to believe that could possibly happen.
How? What's this how?
I think it's a mental thing in a way. I think you just have people who choose to believe and want to believe whatever they want to, because it just fits whatever. I don't know if it's rage, I don't know if it's anger, I don't know if it's disappointment, I don't know what it is, but there's something internally about a person that decides that they want to believe whatever somebody tells them without doing any investigation whatsoever. I don't care, and it has even nothing to do with going to college, I mean, even if you are a high school dropout, there's some high school dropouts who are very bright. There are people, but this idea that I'm just going to take your word for it because it sounds good and it connects with something inside of me that is not right, is sad and confusing.
Yeah, he's really talking their language. He's
Yeah.
a master at that. He's nothing like them. doesn't want to shake their hands, would never visit them in their homes. Joe Biden is the guy
Yeah.
who would go to your house and sit down on your couch to console you.
He would literally ask for your phone number. If he
Right.
saw something that you were truly bothered by, he would
And
get
we've
your phone
seen
number,
it. We've heard
call
this.
you off camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We've heard those stories. Trump's not doing that. Like, I never forget Sergeant what was his name? David LaJohnson. He was murdered. His military was murdered over there in I forgot what part of Africa. Black man.
Yeah.
And he didn't call the widow, but then he was urged to call the widow, and then called the widow and said the wrong name.
Yep. And is that the same one that he said, well, he knew what he got himself into?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
Told
yeah.
the widow that.
Yeah. So this is the same guy who's been quoted on record as saying that soldier or military people are suckers and losers. The same guy who had a chance to go to a military ceremony, but it was raining outside. He didn't want to drive and get his hair wet, apparently. Same guy that there was another one recently that where there was a wounded soldier in a wheelchair or whatever, and he looks over at the guy and says, "Why do you bring out guys like that? Nobody wants to see that." And these are like, again, if anybody had said that any Democrat had said this would be on Fox News See, and this is why it's not genuine. None of this is genuine. And the fact that they can wake up and look at themselves in the mirror and basically just say bile about everything Democrat, and all the bile is coming from the Republican Party, but they won't say a fucking word about it, is disgusting.
We saw him make fun of disabled people.
Correct.
We saw that. That was the craziest thing, and it's just gotten worse from there.
Actually, you know what the craziest thing is? The craziest thing is that we saw it, but Trump supporter will still try to convince us that he didn't do that.
Right.
That's the
craziest. He was just joking. He wasn't making fun of them. Like,
it's like, oh, you guys are so that's it. He was joking. It's like he does that all the time. That's the crazy part, is that you convince grown adults that this guy is smart, good at business, a man of God. I mean, you laugh at all three of those as quickly as I say them. And it's like, how do people buy into this? And this motherfucker might be president again. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Happy 2024. Happy New Year.
Dude, I don't know.
I don't know either. But you know what? Here's what's going to happen, Lana. You and I, we're going to get through this year.
Yeah.
As much as we can together here. We're going to do our part, do everything we can. We're going to spread the word, whether it be on our podcasts here or if it's on locally with people we talk to. And, I try to talk to as many people as I can that will at least listen. I've given up on there might be a person who thinks they're a Trump supporter that I think that I can talk into not doing it again this time. If you got the hardcore MAGAs, I'm not even wasting my time.
Yeah.
But get anybody you can to help them understand, because a lot of people don't follow this stuff as much as you and I do. As I've said before, I do believe 85 to 90% of the country is politically stupid. And, again, it sounds like but it's just true. It's just, they know nothing. I mean, know something, know half of it, something. But to walk through not knowing any of this stuff is just, it's a mind blow.
We used to be those people too. So,
well, we did, but you know what? We did something about it, but but I'm talking about people our age. I'm talking about people.
That is
I
true.
know
Right.
people our age who said they've never voted in their lives, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But
Yeah.
they have plenty of opinions about it. They got all kinds of opinions, but never voted. And I'm just like,
Right. Right.
wait a minute. I mean, I'd rather you vote, and then I'll listen to your opinions.
Right. Right.
But anyway, Lana, do you have anything else you'd like to close the show out with? It's a happy new year. We're all going to smile. We're all going to have a good year, I think.
Yes, we are going to have a good year. Good things are going to happen. Trump
Yes.
is going to go to jail.
Trump's going to jail. The economy almost has to get
Yeah.
to a point. Well, first of all, I want to say the economy is rolling. The economy's been rolling for quite some time.
Yeah.
And it's going to get to a point now where there's going to be no denying it. You can't deny it. The only thing I think right now holding back the economy is a little bit where Biden still would love to see these interest rates come down on mortgages, because I will tell you, being in the business, people fucking love buying houses. They love going on Zillow. They love looking at homes all day long. But we are getting back, and we are, I'm already having my busiest January that I've ever had in the business.
Nice.
Which is good.
Mhm.
So, we are seeing an uptick, and we are seeing a lot of exciting things. And I think as the year goes on, we're going to get more and more excited. Doesn't mean we're not going to be scared during the year. Doesn't mean things aren't going to freak us the fuck out. But
Right.
we'll talk it through, and we'll figure it out together. And, we'll make this a good 2024 regardless.